All right, welcome everyone. This is the first ever CBA week in review. That's 1 week, real life, about a month in game. 29 games been played by most teams. So this is essentially a review of the first month. So we're going to go through the three different leagues that we have. We have a couple GMs with us, um, and then we're going to go over some trades and also anything that we think would be fun to look at if you want to check in on some, you know, like I'm interested in seeing how guys like Pierce Andrew and Cortez and stuff like that, the studs that are going for like records and see what they're up to. Um, so first to introduce myself, I'm Big E. I'm the manager of Boston, the underperforming PL team that's been underperforming, which is just code for I'm a bad GM for about 3 years now. Um, so Duncan, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm the GM of the Carolina Reapers, and if you're underperforming, I don't know what that means about me. But we are currently in last place in the PL, so we're heading to the SL right now.
All right, Michael, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm Michael. I am GM of the Philadelphia Liberty, tied for last place in Bronze League right now, but not where I want to be for that precious 1-1 draft spot at the moment. That's Los Angeles.
Is that the goal for the season?
That is the goal for Philadelphia this season.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's start with the Premier League. So the four teams that currently have a playoff spot, I believe all four made the playoffs last year. Cleveland, they made it because they won the Silver League, and so right now they have the number one seed in the Premier League. They've been playing real well. I think if you were to have taken, a poll, most people would have said that they would have thought that Toronto probably would have had a playoff spot a month into the season too. I think I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts are. I think most people, if they had to like bet money, probably would swap Toronto and Kentucky just a month in. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely. I think they would have. But with the PL, basically anyone from 1 to 8 right now
Yeah,
realistically could have a playoff spot. So it's not that big of a deal right now. But yes, Toronto would probably be one or two
eight
preseason.
eight teams in the 8 of the 10 teams are either have a playoff spot or are 3 games or less away from a playoff spot. Like it's really, too easy to make too soon to make any real, um, you know, conclusions. So I guess going forward, what do you guys think is going to happen going forward? Do you have teams that you expect to rise or fall?
Yeah, I think if you look at the standings, and I know the pith isn't everything, but it's clearly a gap 1 through 7, and then the bottom three. And I think that's kind of how most people thought it was going to shake out. Toronto is Bob's playing with house money, has been for years, is my opinion, and he's not going to just give in. So him and out of the hunt right now, he's going to make moves before the deadline. We don't know what they're going to be yet,
Mm-hmm.
but with Broughton being out for the year, we know that he's a bungo injury away from being really in trouble. He's going to make aggressive moves
Mm-hmm.
before the deadline. So I think that's one I would keep an eye on. He's not going to just accept sixth place, seventh place without a fight.
Yeah, I'd agree. So
Yeah,
just to try to illustrate to make sure everyone's following along, if you look at him by this Pythagorean win loss, he still has the third best run differential despite being only 1 game above 500. And just to kind of clarify a little bit, Broughton was his second baseman, who's of course very good. Well, means he only put up well, in half a season last year. He put up 2 WAR, so he's a good player. Did he get hurt last year too? Yes, twice. Ouch. Um, so he's fragile. He's done for the season. So that's definitely a bit of a bummer. And he did put up 4 WAR a couple of years ago. So injuries have really plagued this dude. So that's one of the, I guess, issues. The Achilles heel, if you will, of Toronto is going to be their fragile players. So there's Broughton, and then there's probably the best player in the history of the CBA in Bungo, who's wrecked. And so at any point in time, he could be out. And so just looking at his injury history, it's pretty bloody. So
yeah.
he's already been out for 5 weeks this year alone. So yeah,
I was actually I was shocked in the trades article I did the other day how little teams have actually gotten for Bungo that traded for him.
oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I know that this does not show the full history because you don't see like draft picks, but um, a lot of the players, I mean, so traded by Carolina to Toronto. I'm sorry, we're kind of gonna put you on blast, Duncan. So this dude, not really
He
anything
deserves it. It's
special.
okay.
Yeah, he has 2 championships, so we're gonna give him shit. Vega, traded away. Ooh, that stings. What's the story behind this guy, Duncan?
Yeah, so it's bad when we look at one of my trades and off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you exactly what I got in return for it. So first of all, I appreciate you mentioning my 2 championships for some credibility.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm very active talking about trades, 2 trades. For every good trade I have, I probably got 2 bad ones. So they're all over the place. But yeah, we sent him over to Cleveland. We've sent some other people over to Phoenix. I have a lot of Carolina representation in the TOC every year, whether I'm there or not.
Okay, I was just thinking to myself, that was the last. So, what was your thought process when you sent him away? Because I mean, he's fragile, and he's a lefty, and the lore of the league is that you are quite fond of your lefties.
Yeah. So can you bring up the return on this trade for me, just to refresh my memory? Oh,
It's probably for a draft pick then. Whenever it's not
yeah.
showing here.
Well, I do have. Okay, so that's likely it. I do have Cleveland's first round picks in 71 and 72. So it was probably, and I've talked to Tommy at length about this. I knew I was not in the top 4 contention. I was not one of the stronger teams, even with Vega. It's how can I retool this team while maintaining my position in the PL? That's been the battle. That's been the fight. And right now, it's not going very well. But I do have a lot of draft capital that I've gotten in return for some of these guys, and that's really the mindset. So when it doesn't work, it looks really bad. Trying to imitate. I wish Tommy could come off mute here. I know he's busy, but he's done a tremendous job of maintaining his position in the PL for, I believe, like 13 seasons. And that's the what I've been trying to mirror. And right now it does not look very good. But hopefully Minnesota and Miami can join me.
I think you actually did a great job at that. The only problem is the PO is very good from 1 to 10 this year. So it's really hard to stick around. Hell, I don't know if I'm going to stick around, to be completely honest. Even if I'm in 2nd place right now, the 3rd place, wherever it is. The PO is very tough this year.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just for everyone following along at home, Tommy there, that was just talking, is the GM of Phoenix, and they won the championship last year. So the reigning champions. All right. So other than discussing Toronto, I want to take a deeper look at Cleveland because they're kind of far and away the first. They have my favorite pitcher in the league, Bobby Cortez.
You're welcome, Adam.
Tony traded him away, about 5 years ago now, 4.5 years ago. And he's played well, but really when you look at like his ratings, despite, these are, eye candy, looking at his numbers, he didn't pitch that well in 67 and 68. I mean, he pitched fine, but like you expect ace numbers, not 2.5 WAR. But he had a really good season last year. And he's looking like he's going to have another pretty good season again this year, on pace for 4.8 WAR. And again, we only played 126 games, so that's closer to like 5.5 if you adjusted for it. So I like Bobby Cortez a lot. I'm a believer, despite the 2 underperforming years. He has Matt Croft, who had a good year last year. I guess this is just, these ratings aren't super great. But
Step in. This team is great. I cannot see them staying at the top of the PO all year long, though. I don't think he's deep enough at offense. No, I don't. I mean, he can make moves, sure, but I just don't know if that's sustainable.
Here, let's take a look. Got a lot of power in the lineup. So what do you? Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying though. A lot of big avoid K guys. So who are his? I guess so. So his 3 hitters, Fillmore. What's everyone's take on him? I'm weirded out by the fact that it's kind of strange because you have 2 really good years, then a really bad year sandwiched in between. I'm always hesitant when we're talking about a guy who doesn't have either elite homer power, I, or avoid K. I guess that's kind of what I look at first. And he's mostly not super great against righties. So, are you saying, Tommy, that you don't believe in this guy?
There's a reason I am. Give me 1 second. I'm checking something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll chime in real quick. One of the things that I think really works for him is in a 126 game season, this guy's got 63 games in a wide open ballpark. So if you want to take a look at his ballpark, I think that works really, really well for him. And I like the strategy. He's built around his park. Whether that's sustainable long term, I don't know. But it's really paying dividends right now.
Do you want to show me where I can find the part right here? Park factors. I already had it. Yeah. So it's a very big outfield, hard to hit home runs. So
I will say one thing he does have going for him though is actually the PL right-handed starters are relatively. They're not nearly as strong as I thought they were. Actually, my team has
yeah,
the best ones by far, and then his team does as well. So actually, I mean, I could see why he's in first right now. I didn't really take that into account before. That's why I wanted to check it before I came in
so
and said something again.
gotcha.
His
So
lineup
this,
is actually fit pretty well for the PL right now because it's so right-handed heavy, and he doesn't have a lot of crazy splits.
so who are you saying is the best right-handed pitcher in the league? Grissom.
I was just saying, like stat-wise, it's on Cleveland or my team basically have the better right hand. There's actually a lot of really good left-handed in a lot of the other teams,
Yep.
not right-handed pitching. Which I actually thought there was a lot more right-handed pitching in the league than there actually is.
No, it's actually pretty light. I think I probably have two of the better ones in Copping. Who
You do, I agree as well.
I mean, he's not played well this year.
Copping's probably my top three.
Who I traded. I gave you a first and a prospect for him, and then I have Elijah Hampton, who I like as well. But they're like, despite this dude's ratings, he hasn't put up like super elite numbers. But yeah, I would definitely agree that the right-handed pitchers are pretty weak. Is there a league leaders? There has to be, right? Pitching leaders. Bobby Teno, Bobby, we'll call him, is currently the best pitcher. One of Bob's dudes. He had some good years back to back. I'm sorry, one of Mark's dudes. This weirds me out. Maybe this is just me. And maybe this is a bit more like too much single player stuff. Whenever I see a guy that has two really good pitches and then a third not good pitch, I'm immediately like, he's not going to be a good starter, but he has been.
Yeah, every time I see that, I think of Tony Cingrani.
Reds legend Tony Cingrani.
Yeah, oh yeah, lit up the minor leagues, and then as soon as they pulled him up, that third pitch just was not there.
Man, I love Cingrani. Oh, I had such high hopes for him. I took him so many years in fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's maybe not Hall of Fame, but Hall of very good career, and you started the vast majority of it. So who knows? Maybe Mark knows something that we don't. Let's see who else is really really good. Moda from Minnesota. He's a lefty, so I guess that kind of goes with our more good lefties than righties. And he's had some very strong years in a row. And what's that? A contract extension. I kind of like the contract because I'm not sure if you guys can see if my quality is good enough, but it's $35 million a year, ending his age 35 season. And we're talking
I'll
about
be right back.
no worries. We're talking about a dude that's put up 3, 4, 5 WAR seasons, and he's durable.
Yeah, and he's on pace for almost 6 again this year in the PL.
Mm-hmm.
I have absolutely no issues with that.
Yeah, that's a good deal. And then third, Rolston, one of Tommy's guys, we just took a look at, and Brian, who's a righty, former one of Duncan got former Carolina.
We could do this all night.
I know. It's like half the league's played for your team at this point. Yep, probably gonna. I don't know. I think that's probably what's gonna finish at about 3.5 WAR.
So he doesn't use them offensively, but check out his ratings for me real quick. I tried several times to make this work,
gosh,
and
I forgot all about this.
I just never could get anything successful out of it.
Yeah.
I tried popping him in at third base, first base, DH. I figured against left-handers he was worthwhile, but just never really came to fruition for me.
I wonder if we have historical ratings for his bat. Probably not. It'd be interesting to see what his hitting ratings were when you had him. Because do you think they were around here, or do you think they're better than that?
I'd say that looks about right, especially when I'm looking at his left-handed splits. It just, again, if you look at his career stats, he just never, and he had some decent starts, but never anything where I was like, okay, he's going to stay in the lineup.
Yeah, you're not.
I don't remember his movement being that high and that control being that high when he was with you, to be honest.
I don't think the movement was. Nope.
Oh my gosh.
No, that's probably.
Training.
So when did I train him? Yeah, that's
2067. So right around here.
So the control went up.
So you probably traded him around here.
I like to think it was green.
Well, you have to remember, in Out of the Park 22, I don't think movement, like really good movement, had like quite the same influence.
No, they ramped that up a lot this year.
Yeah, that's one of my observations as well. His two, he put up 3 WAR between the two teams the year he traded him. Then after that, and this actually was Out of the Park 23, and then he put 3.8 and 3.3.
What's the contract that Bob gave him? I'm curious on this one.
6 years.
How backloaded is it?
It's not backloaded.
Not bad for Bob.
Yeah,
I think
that's pretty
reasonable.
That's reasonable.
Especially because he's going to be out a free agent at 34. You have the best years of his career.
And I didn't know this stream was going to be a roast of Duncan and his trades. Let's talk about Let's talk about Joey now that he's here.
Joey, you want to chime in? All right. Well, if you feel the need to talk.
Well, hey, I'm here, guys.
Oh, what's up?
Hey,
Although I'll be on in a second here. I'm watching Last of Us. What's up?
Nothing much. So for the background, Joey is the GM of Detroit, which is loading up, and currently the sitting on top of the Bronze League. So he's had quite the rebuild. So we're roasting everyone's trades.
We'll get to the Bronze League. Let's talk about Kyle Connor dying right after I traded for him.
Let's talk about. You know what? I agree. So Kyle Connor, these are his ratings. Not bad, right? Not bad. He was traded, about a week ago, and the same. So Tommy, who just brought him up, traded for him. I also put in a bid to trade for him, and so this is what his ratings look like now, and this is what they were like a week ago. I mean, the dude traded and immediately slipped back, but it's not as bad as I guess it's kind of has been sliding a little bit, according to my scout. But still, I mean, it's kind of pretty poor timing. What is
Tommy, I didn't want to say anything, but this is one of those weird cases where OSA must have been ahead of the regular scouting reports, because OSA actually had him down at some point while Orlando was shopping him, which I've never seen before. And that was enough that I was asking Orlando about that, and he of course was kind of obfuscating a bit. But that I don't know what was going on there, but I'd never seen OSA kind of have more accurate ratings than actual scout ratings. But that really sucks for you.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, my scout has not gotten an update on him since February, but it was a down scouting report. But my scout still likes him a lot more than OSA. I'm still seeing, I think, what Tommy and everybody saw a week ago.
Oh, really?
I can send you a screenshot, but it probably won't.
I still expect him to be good. I mean, honestly, it's probably just even the week he had for me this past week. It wasn't. He had a 7 ERA, but his FIP was still incredibly low.
He also had
so I'm not
an 11 strikeout game.
Yeah, so I'm not too worried.
He's still elite.
It's just frustrating. That happens to me way too often.
He had what? How many 80 pitches did he have before? What, three or something?
Yeah, he had so he pitched 100 his first game in Phoenix. Then before that, he had pretty low pitch count, where 3 of his previous 4 games were under 90 pitches.
No, I mean the actual pitches, because I was trying to remember what he had before. It was something like 380 pitches.
I've got him at 80 fastball, 75 curveball, 80 changeup.
Okay.
Yeah, the changeup.
I can't remember what he had.
His changeup fell, and I think that made this stuff. Okay, so it's just different scouts say different things. How's he performing? Who gives a crap?
He's still good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll still help you to probably back-to-back. Make it the playoffs again.
I don't know if I'll pay him though. Now we'll see. I got to pay a lot of people, so
Because you have him for the rest of this year and next year, correct?
I still got to pay Ralston. So, and he's been nothing but great. So,
Yeah. This is one of the dudes you have to extend.
Just for a second.
All right.
All right, guys, I'll have to watch the replay later. I'm going to watch Last of Us, but thanks for doing this, gents.
Nope, of course. Good to see you.
See you, buddy.
Anything you guys want to hit on in the Premier League before you jump to the Silver League?
If we're going to stay on the Premier League, and we can do this next week if need be, I would like to. Cleveland's nice, DC's nice, Phoenix is nice. I would really like to focus on the teams that are going to battle for that fourth spot: Kentucky, New Orleans, Toronto, Boston. I think that's going to be a very interesting race because, like Tommy said, from top to bottom, it's a very strong division. Like on paper, I looked at my team going into this. I was like, man, I kind of like what's happening. And I've just had 2 trash sims in a row. But it's still, I'm like, the talent's there. It's not good enough for what's in the PL right now. So I think it's going to be a very interesting 4th place race.
So for you guys, who do you think between these 4 teams, do you have like a gut feeling on who you don't believe in and who you believe in? Because
I'm looking right now. I admittedly did not think Kentucky made many moves in the offseason. And I wasn't there because I know he's been I think he has some high salary, so he didn't really get a chance to do a whole lot of stuff because he's paying Lopez and Batres a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I know he extended Thacker, which was a good move. Even though he's old, he's still pitching really well. So I admittedly did not think he'd be around the top 4. I thought maybe more like 6 or 7, just because he didn't make any moves. But he's surprised me. So
my thing, and this is 100% like a GM bias. So the guy who runs Kentucky, his name's Cole, and I am in 2 online leagues, and he is in both of them. And in every single time he has taken over a team or he's GMs a team, they just do incredibly well. I mean, for whatever reason, this dude's teams, they just click.
And he's doing this with Lopez doing being completely awful.
Oh my God!
So if Lopez actually starts heating up a little bit, which he should, I don't understand why he's hitting 200.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I mean, I just think out of the park 23, if you can't hit for power, you're kind of toast.
Yeah, it did nerf contact, whereas 22 was basically all contact. It did not matter. So it will be interesting to see who makes moves. I think who makes a couple big moves deadline is going to propel past everybody else. Because a lot of these teams, yours, I would say Boston sticks out to me, and I'm surprised they're 13 and 16 because you just made a lot of moves and your lineup is very solid top to bottom. I love the Kaneko signing. I loved a lot of the moves you made. So you have good hitters too. You have decent seasons going on. So it must be pitching that's just failing you, or bullpen maybe.
Well,
your offense is still only 9th. So yeah, your offense is only 9th. So you must be just getting a lot of leaving a guy on base, I guess. Because the middle of the lineup's not doing anything. Like Robert, Davidson, they're hitting okay, but they're not driving guys in.
Yeah, I mean, all the RBIs are top end except for Bahina, I guess. That's one thing that. So I reinvented my team this offseason. 3 of my 5 pitchers I've brought in they're brand new. My bullpen's largely the same. A lot of guys. I mean, I guess Acevedo and Short are new, but my lineup, 8 of my 9 guys in my lineup, I didn't have last year. And I just added, and we're going to skip around a little bit. I traded for John Robert. I'm going to call him Robert. He's Canadian. I'm not sure if it's Robert or Robert, but I traded for him, and I'm hoping that he can play well. I only have him for the rest of the year. And so I'm really hoping that my lineup will start clicking, and it just hasn't happened yet. I mean, it's just been bad.
Well, here's an observation as well. If you want to bring up the PL standings, something I was thinking about, because if we're talking about these 4 teams in particular battling for that 4th spot, so Kentucky is a multi-time TOC winner in his first stint with the league. Bob has won the most TOCs in the league. So you've got 2 former champions out of these 4 teams. Mm-hmm. Boston and you and New Orleans have both been very active in the offseason. But if you look at the top 3 teams, top 4 teams versus everybody else, everybody has done everything they can to fight off left-handed pitching. And look what's killing you. Right-handed pitching. You're 4-12 against right-handed pitching, which is not the problem most teams have in the PL, right? But we've gone so aggressive trying to combat this left-handed pitching strength that now what's really separating the top teams from the second tier is what they're doing against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, you're so right with that. I didn't even notice that.
I would not even have thought about that. Let's
And
just take
also,
a quick
yeah, that's
look
crazy.
at like handness. I only have 5 dudes that would hit on the left side of the plate. Everyone else is a righty.
Well, that's why I think what Cleveland's doing is so nuts because his team is completely right-handed hitting. He has only 2 lefties, and somehow he still has like a really good record against right-handed pitching. I feel like that has to come down some because those guys don't even have that good of splits against right-handed pitching.
You got like Gonzalez. Yeah, I mean this guy. Maybe this is just my bias, but his ratings aren't that incredible. But he's just put up numbers, and he's
Like
continuing to
Fillmore's
put up
pretty
numbers.
average stat ratings wise against right-handed pitching.
I'd
I mean,
agree.
he hasn't hit right-handers very well either. He just has a couple home runs and a couple big doubles, so it's kind of inflated his OPS and his slugging a little bit.
Career, he's about even. The PL this year, he's definitely the best
I
left
think
fielder.
this will even out a little bit because Kist is. I mean, at least ratings wise, Kist is has a pretty big splits as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mostly, I guess the eye and gap. But yeah, that's interesting. I guess I might maybe we'll look. One thing I want to do is add a outfield bat. I need so right now I have Jerry Martinez who really doesn't know how to play right field, but he's hitting well and he hits righties well actually. Um, and then I kind of want another good outfielder because right now I have Alan Davidson, and he's hitting well, but I guess I don't really believe in him. So
I'd also like to call out that, excuse me, Jerry Martinez, former Carolina Reaper.
oh, really?
I will say too, if Minnesota can fix the bottom 3 of his rotation,
Oh, he was a part of the Bungo trade. Sorry, go ahead.
no, they're just his bottom 3 rotation has been terrible, but Minnesota's got a really good lineup. Like he's got a lot of really good hitters in the top of his lineup. I think if he wants to push, he can be fight for the top 4, but he needs to get his pitching in order because they're rough.
He's went with
Yeah,
bullpen.
and if you remember, I guess most people consider it an upset in the promotion series out of the SL last year, but he beat New York, who had a very strong team.
I would
He
say
did,
that was
and
a
I mean
very big upset.
he's got Zima and Stafford still hitting really well.
Oh my god, that contract.
Tabell is like a
$31 million.
perfect. Tabell like fits 23 perfectly.
The Joey Gallo build.
He's got a little more contact, but yeah, I mean he's got that massive power.
Yeah, that's one thing I've definitely looked at too. Is I just need to bring in dudes that can just move. I think I'm too still on the old meta of hey, you can't strike out, but now it's like no, you just gotta hit home runs.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to find a guy like Tabal and bring him in. All right, any closing thoughts on the Premier League before you jump to the Silver League?
This should be a very interesting trade deadline. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
teams
for sure.
fighting, so I
Well, a
don't
lot
think.
of people sold off their pieces way before the deadline.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I don't really have. I mean, I have some pieces, but I'm not going to move Varela. I'm not moving him, and I don't really have any draft pieces, so I'm pretty much stuck with what I got. I'm sneakily trying to sell a little bit too, trying to rebuild while I'm trying to build a little bit as well. So, but yeah, there's still some guys got moves. I mean, Toronto. I mean, I don't know what pieces he has to move, but he somehow always finds a way to make deals happen. And
Yeah.
I don't know if Boston has to move. I don't know what your draft picks are, and I mean, I don't know where you'd even build at, to be honest, because you got a pretty decent rotation. I mean, you could use one more, but they're pitching well, so it doesn't matter. Bullpen's fine. I guess maybe the third base is a huge hole for you right now.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that my gloves would matter more, but I'm
Yeah,
trying to think,
see,
hoping one of
it's
these
hard going
two
all glove in the PO with anywhere
this is just
but
ass.
shortstop and center field because you need offense desperately from almost
Oh
every
yes.
position.
Yeah, this guy is just not. I mean, you look his past couple of years; they've been good. This year, I mean, you cannot find. I mean, he's not even striking out that much. because a 210 BABIP and 0 power will do that to you. Yeah, I don't know. I just needed a guy. I needed a warm body at third base, and so I found Gomez. I wish I could have found it like what I had when we did.
Yeah, I didn't even see Gomez. I was actually talking about Manuel too. So because he's in there against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, they both suck. I'm hoping one of them will find a swing. I had Sema, and I traded him. I think every year I had him, but he played really, really well for me, and then I could not afford him in free agency because I had too many other holes to fill. Um, so, because I went from having a silver slugger at third, who for me last year he put up a 177 weighted runs created plus. Let's just look at his total numbers in Boston. 145 with 10 WAR, and really we'll call it that two seasons. I mean, he played really well for me. Sadly, I had to trade him at the deadline every time, but guess that's just what happens when your team.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Miami does because they have big pieces. They can if they're moving. I don't know what they're doing, but Staub's old, but he's still killing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Levine has just been good for a long time. Like he has the pieces he can like mortgage off for a nice return if I don't know what he's doing, but I don't know if he's going to take the route that Carolina's taking and just going to sell off pieces or what.
Well, the issue is, two guys are going to get relegated. It's tough because that's part of the balance. It's like, how do you stay in the Premier League, but build for the future without getting relegated?
So first, this is my last one. I promise I'm done. But Kirby Levine, also former Reaper. But I feel pretty safe that I am going to be in the relegation series. The last two sims, and I've kind of accepted this. I've told Tommy I don't want to get relegated, but I still feel like my team's in a decent position where I can maybe do one of these bounce downs to SL without having to go all the way to the BL. I have a lot of draft capital. Where I think it's going to be interesting again is Minnesota, Miami. I think that's that battle for 9th place and 8th place. I do think the rest of the PL will separate from that. And I think you've got two really good teams there as well. I would probably put my money on Minnesota to stick around. It's that PL is not going to get any easier over the next couple of years. You got some strong teams in the SL that are getting ready to come up as well.
Oh, we got Detroit coming eventually, so
and then Detroit will be there. Yeah, it's the next 5 years or so, and the CBA is going to be very interesting. It's going to be
because if we're gonna segue into
the Silver League.
Silver League anyway.
Yeah,
Cincinnati is scary. Their team is so good right now.
These top two, I think are
Cincinnati's good.
legitimate
New York
teams.
almost made it there last year. I don't know if Tampa Greg's even pulled all of his guys up yet.
He hasn't. I loved
last
Tampa
I remember
Bay
he had a
the season.
decent looking farm as well. So if he doesn't come up this year, he'll probably be up there next year.
I just want to take a second.
So if we assume Cincinnati, New York wins this year, then you probably have Tampa and Detroit winning next year.
Just taking a look at Cincinnati. First in OPS, first in FIP, first in runs again, first in runs scored. Defense
I do think
second.
This is going to be part of what Ult's going to bring Bob into the rebuild, which is, I hate to keep bringing it up, but he has been in the PL for 20 straight seasons.
Has he ever not been in the PL?
Amazing to maintain that level of success in that division.
I think he was always in the PL 1.0 as well.
He's going to have to build a rebuild or do a rebuild like Joey has. And so I think in the next year or two, I think we see him make that move to make way for some of these new younger teams.
Yeah, especially after you look
new GMs that have come in and they're making waves.
You look at the PL even after this year. I mean, Tampa Bay is going to be strong, Lightnings are strong, and then Detroit's going to be strong. So it's I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams in the PL that necessarily 10 years ago they might have stayed in the PL that are going to get pushed out. It's just going to happen. And I think maybe Toronto is one of those. Maybe not the first wave, but they could be a second wave. It all depends if he somehow pulls a rabbit out of his hat and trades those $30 million mid-30-year-olds for more stuff to rebuild. I mean, he's done it before, so.
Anything's possible. I just want to take a second to talk about Victor Peralez. He's been in the league 5 years now. I think every single year I've DM'd the Cincinnati general manager, asked for a trade, and been shot down. This is one of my favorite players who I've kind of admired from afar. Has just absolutely murdered the ball.
And it didn't get put in the article, but I think let me see how he's doing now. Yeah, he's still been really bad. What I got for Richardson was like robbery. Like it shouldn't have happened. But he was so good on my team because I can mask my ballpark mask a lot of these bad left-handed hitters. And boy, he fell off a map. I wish he was still good on Cincinnati, but he is not.
So just to be
Sorry,
very clear,
I
we're
lost
talking
audio
about
there.
Caleb Richardson.
Yeah,
His first year in Cincinnati, he put up 7.5 WAR. I mean,
yeah.
he
But he
has
fell off a
played
cliff
well,
with
but
23.
I wonder what happened to him. Yeah, he definitely took a step back. Forgot how to hit.
That was a Austin draft pick, right?
Yeah. It was an awesome draft pick, and then former Galveston was in Houston, and he moved him. But Austin took him like third overall, I think.
Really, yeah. And I think there was some concern, but then
Fifth.
when probably about the time he went to Phoenix is when he took off.
Yeah, that year after I got him, he put up like 4 WAR, and then he had a season where he almost won MVP, I think.
He should have won MVP, and he would have beat him in
66.
68.
Yeah, 68 he should have won too. I don't know how he didn't. I mean, he even put up with combined two teams. He put up 4.7 WAR in 67. So
Let's take a look at their pitching real quick.
I like to imagine that Greg jumped in and said, "No, I'm good," and then left.
He saw Cincinnati and ran. They have this looks like their ace from ratings alone. He's pitched well.
yeah, Riesling. He was what, the 4th pick in the draft, I believe, or 6th pick.
Yep.
He got taken right before, or either right before or right after I took Drew Hicks.
Himself. The pitching doesn't like jump out to me. The bullpen specifically is like.
Yeah, he's been carried by offense, which that offense will be enough to get him out this year. So he'll have some work to do with the big budget in the offseason.
Yeah. A lot of power again. Common theme with these teams are playing well. Let's take a look at New York. So last year they made it to the promotion series, and then they got beat by Minnesota, and that was considered a pretty substantial upset. I for one was pretty confident that New York was going to win. Looks like they've come back and they're continuing to play well. Neary, I mean, he's just continued to mash. I think won the MVP last year. Tim Price, very, very good. Oh, he's a free agent signing. For a fragile starting pitcher, that's a pretty good contract. $22 million a year for an SL team. I think that was a good
Yeah, I
pickup
mean,
for
yeah,
New York.
especially from an SL team, 20 million. I mean, it's a lot for them, but it's not a lot overall.
Yeah, so their bullpen looks like their weakness so far. I wonder if that's just luck or. I'd expect that bullpen to tick up just a little bit.
Yeah, Rump has got to be better than Rump. You'd think he'd be better moving forward.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's some strange numbers you see here. I thought he was supposed to start. That was the move, the plan. I mean, his ratings are still great.
Yeah, things happen, I guess.
So you can look at.
He's started 3 games this year.
I mean, as a starter, he's a 4.5 ERA, but a 2.63 FIP. I mean, if I'm New York, if I continue the Mike Rumph as a starter experiment, especially if you're going to be paying him $20 million a year going forward, I say you just slot him in the rotation and you never look back.
I could see putting him over like Restrepo and then finding a bullpen piece because, I mean, Rancourt could be, or even like Waltman could probably be a stopper in the CO. I mean, he's only pitched 6 innings. I'd want more innings out of Waltman.
I'm a little freaked out by the low movement, though. I've not had good luck.
Yeah, it hasn't. I mean, I've rocked tons of people like that. So.
Yeah, this is a team that I think the deadline. I mean, I think they're going to make it to the playoffs one way or another. But obviously, if you're New York, you don't want to lose the promotion series again. I'm aggressive at the deadline if I'm them. I think a bullpen is one of the easier positions to shore up if these guys end up not taking that step forward. It does not look like they have much of a farm system at all. But yeah, interesting team. Anything else you want to mention in the Silver League?
I will say, I mean, I went a couple years ago. I thought Indianapolis had was going to have the offense to just explode in the CL and make it to the PL rather quickly because they had Lingle, they had Ellis, I think Huff was a big draft pick, wasn't he? Maybe.
They did have a very good
Huff was
batch
first
of
overall
hitters.
pick, so he's fallen off quite a bit though. Huff, I think I remember him being really good when he was drafted.
I'm bummed because I had the 64 round 1 pick 4, and let's take a look at the guy I drafted. And I could have had Cody Ford, so it's a bit of a bummer because he did have like one good year, but I just feel like such an idiot. Because I remember I spent like an hour back and forth on who do I take? Do I take the bat first baseman, or the outfielder? And I made the wrong choice. So I'm a big fan of Cody Ford.
I'm always weary with taking DHs in the top 5.
He was also like 16 or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't have made that pick.
So
I feel bad that I feel like I dismissed Indianapolis when I was talking SL, but man, there's just so much talent on that lineup.
Yeah,
like, they're aggressive.
They really should have been out by now if they developed properly.
Well, and the one bad thing is he just doesn't have the pitching. He's got the offense, but they have no pitching, unfortunately.
Where's he drafting
it's a good
at?
Bullpen. Looks like they have like maybe 1 or 2 good pitchers.
Yeah, he's got a good bullpen. The starters can't get them. Get there.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't pick until 16.
Defense is hurting him quite a bit too, actually.
I feel like he needs to be aggressive at the deadline.
I agree. But mostly because, I mean, this window is going to close eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
Ellis only has 3 years left before he's got to get paid. Huff's just now started, but I mean, Ellis is going to want some big money.
They lose Godley, who's one of their better pitchers, who is a former shoreman, one of my guys. Then after that, they're going to lose a couple pitchers, but I don't know. I think they got a decent amount of. Let's take a look. Lingle, he might.
See what he said. What Lingle's going to get paid though? Holy.
Yeah, it's a ton of money. I mean, they very much $55 million for this dude. He's good. He's a 4-WAR player, but it's still just a lot of money.
Just that kind of money makes my skin crawl, no matter who it's with.
Yeah, I'm such a cheap ass. Even though I'm on the Premier League, I can't bring myself to write a big contract. I mean,
I'm complaining to Carolina about guys making $50 million. I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay him.
Well, I mean, if you've given Lingle that contract, that's just further reason you got to be aggressive because you got to get to the PL budget.
Yeah, I've only signed 2 big contracts since the reboot. One of them was Paul Franklin, who was supposed to get me out of BL, and he retired during his contract. And then I signed Pierce Andrew to his deal, and I think that one was really well structured for the type of pitcher he is.
And to be honest, you could have given Pierce $70 million a year, and it's still gonna be worth it.
No one would have an eye. All right, let's jump to the Bronze League, and
AKA the best league.
Yeah. So Detroit on top. So Detroit has the rebuild I think everybody has predicted to just do the best. And that offense is just kind of dominating the leaderboard. If only you stole more bases, that's what's holding him back. But the 8th and 5th really surprises me. Let's take a look at that pitching staff. The bullpen you'd expect.
To be fair, too, he's been rebuilding for 5 years.
Oh my god! And he still has.
Now. Yeah.
Whitley's gonna come up, not this year though. He's still a year or 2 away. It'd be nice if he was like maybe a little closer.
He's he's banking on Whitley. Whitley has to be good too.
I mean,
he still has great offense, but for his pitching staff, Whitley has to be good if he's going to be a good PL team year in year out.
Yeah, he's going to be a free agent after this year, Nippon.
And Mendoza is good, but he fell off a little bit from where he was drafted. So Whitley's going to have to be good.
Yeah.
And a call out on Joey in Detroit. for newer GMs. I know what it looks like in the PL, but this is a team that was in the PL for 13 consecutive seasons as well. And it took 3 of the worst seasons in CBA history for him to drop his overall winning percentage below 500. Like, this is a very capable GM that knows what he's doing.
I mean, let's be honest, he's probably one of the top GMs in the league, probably at least.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah,
3.
definitely.
And you can see that. You can see the rebuild is built to last. So he'll run through the run through the BL and the SL and be in the PL in 3
basically
years.
done to perfection.
As long as
Rebuild,
the pitching hits, yeah.
This is basically what you need your blueprint, as long as the pitching hits, of what you should do with a rebuild. To be fair, he got really lucky selling Ibarra before we went to 23 as well, because it could look, his prospects could look quite different if he did not get the Ibarra deal done before we went to 23.
Right.
That's very true. Ibarra put up a lot on loan for Philly when I was trying to stay up, and but that was in 22.
How do I spell that? Did I spell it right?
IB.
IB. IB.
It's
Yeah,
IBARR.
Alexis Ibarra, belly.
Gotcha. So he was traded. Let's see when that trade happened. 2062. Wow, and that was a bungo deal, of course. 2062. He looked elite, and he has not performed.
Well, specifically, he looked elite for 22.
Yes.
Because the contact would actually buff power for some reason. So he was just completely dominant.
Yeah, I would agree. I remember that when that deal happened, I remember when the bar was on the block. I think I even might have asked him about him, and then he's a victim of the change in the way the game handles things. So he's kind of floated around a little bit, never lived up to the expectations that he had.
Which I think that is what pushed old Seattle out, because he was a very active GM, and that deal just kind of crippled his team.
Yeah, and it looks like none of the other guys. I mean, I'm sure that there were picks involved as well. Well, that was the wrong Ibarra deal, wasn't it?
Let's see here.
With Fernando Hernandez, Josh Inman. There had to have been some picks that.
Yeah, I think there's got to be some picks involved in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a big deal where he was dealt to Seattle. That's where Joey got a lot of the picks from.
Gotcha.
Yeah, let's see here. We've got Detroit Motors and 2068 second round pick, Fernando Hernandez, Josh Inman, and Alexis Ibarra for 2 firsts, a second, and a third, and Thad Foley.
Yeah, that'll help out any rebuild.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, again, there's some other guys. Mike Scott, hope I pronounced it right. Scott. Looks like a true center fielder. Just made his debut too. So the window is just opening.
Shots the guy he got from that the Los Angeles trade, right? LA trade.
I think so. Who did he give up for that?
What, 6th or 7th overall? That I think Los Angeles took Vizquez with.
He's not even showing up in Los Angeles. This thing maybe traded him away.
He's on Toronto. He's loaned out to Toronto.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Didn't he get a loan? Didn't he get a first back for that loan?
He did.
I remember that. I remember saw that and I was like, wow, that's a
There's
generous
something
offer.
weird. He gave a pick too for some reason though. I think wasn't it like a third or something?
That's probably one of those Bob. Hey, I'm going to give you a first one to give me a third back too. That seems very.
While we're talking about Joey, Santiago Herrera, talk about panning out. On pace for 8.1 WAR.
This was very much an out of the park 23 pick. Who cares about a void K? He mashes and can play in the outfield, and he mashes.
Well, what's even weirder is that I know Cleveland wasn't one of them higher than I was, but 2 PL teams were giving him like $275 million, something like that.
you were going to go 412.
Yeah, so I'm like, he comes in at 412. It's like, it's just funny to see like PL teams actually. I don't remember last time a PL team tried to pay for someone at free agency, and like are pushing $300 million, and then the guy still goes for 400 plus.
So let me ask a hypothetical question here, because we might be getting into Pandora's box a little bit, but I never thought we'd see a contract of $400 million with a 6-year max anyways. But I feel like with a sign and trade and some kind of retention is the only way you could possibly see anything higher than that. Do you think we see, now we'd have to get a player capable of getting something like that, but do you think we'll see a contract higher? I mean,
How about
theoretically,
this? Let's say Bungo is 28 and durable. What do you pay him?
right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, he would absolutely get that, but could any team afford that? So,
I think someone can afford it. But they'd have to be in the PO, I think, and be on a bunch of rookie contracts.
It would have to be
Yeah,
a team
That's what I
that
think.
well, it'd be a
like
team like Detroit that has a bunch of young talent that shoots from the bronze to the silver, makes it to the Premier League. All their key guys still have 4 years of control left. Maybe one or two guys that still haven't made it that breakthrough, and you have a ton of money, and your team is still mostly league minimum. That would have to be the situation.
but then you could not afford to re-sign any of those guys, and so you're stuck with one player on a max salary. So then what ends up happening is they're going to end up trying to trade this player with retention. So I think that you could get to a $500 million total contract and somebody's eating $200 million. We haven't seen it yet until, I mean, 20% of 400, he's eating a lot, but we have yet to see somebody eating that much salary.
And we haven't really had a situation where, because the people that will spend money in this league are like Toronto, will spend a lot of money, but he also always has money in his books. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's hard
Yep.
to see. There's a lot of teams in here that have money that are kind of stingy with it. So there's only a handful of teams that would even bother offering that kind of contract anyway, and it had to be
Well,
the perfect situation with the perfect player.
well, all right. So put it this way: CBA or out of the park is, there's out of park 101. Then you're playing in an online league and it's 201. When you start getting to the point where you're juggling and finagling finances, that's 301. That's expert level. So, like, again, I love that we bring up Bob in this, because every year it's like, this has got to be the year. There's no way he finagles this financing to another level. It's impressive. It is so impressive. When you get some of these contracts, and I know, some people don't like some of the trade. That's fine, whatever. I'm not getting into that. But what I'm talking about is when you have to literally say, okay, I'm going into the off season with no money, and you have to create space. That's an element of the game that is difficult to master. And it's impressive to me, some of the teams that run $150 million salaries. And he's not the only one. There's been several in the history. Dustin frequently did it as well.
I was going to bring up Dustin because he was really good at that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough part to manage on top of everything else that is being managed. But
That's
when
why I'm
somebody
also
can
really
handle,
excited to see these new GMs because like they're all really young, so they're gonna like just playing. They've all played OOTP for only a couple years, whereas a lot of these people here have played. Some of the people here played OOTP for like 10 years. You know what I mean? So
right?
someone like Austin, you can tell he's got a big brain on his shoulders. It's gonna be real interesting to see how he grows or how Las Vegas grows. Even Boston, how they grow, because I mean they're playing. You're still young. They're still young people. You know what I mean? They're gonna be playing OOTP for a lot more years.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful league that has a great mix of people in it,
I
and it's
know,
gonna be real interesting to see where it is in a couple years.
I know. Cole, the GM for Kentucky, was actually employed by Out of the Park for a little bit too. Talk about some legacy knowledge.
Collusion.
No wonder everybody was so good on his team.
I
Well,
know,
I
right?
mean, Rams, the old New York GM, was a tester for them too. So
Yeah, I know we have had a couple people who've been testers, I think. All right, any other teams in the Bronze League want to take a look at? Mike, I know we got you here. Do you want to talk about?
We can't look at the bronze without talking about Vancouver because
Oh, of
he's Mr.
course.
Bronze, right? I mean
right.
he's the Pete Rose of Bronze League
Yeah,
or the Barry Bonds of Bronze League. So, but I think he's going to get out this year. I don't know what I mean. Orlando's still good somehow. They're
I
trading
think
off all
we
the
got
pieces.
Orlando here in the Discord. If you want to speak up, you don't have to,
All
of
right.
course, but yeah. So Vancouver, I think they set a record of like 12 years in the Bronze League. Does that sound right?
I'm
Something
kind of
like that.
interested in seeing what you guys take on
Let me look.
Orlando.
Oh, is that you? Is that you right there, Steve?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's take a look.
I
So
mean,
first,
give it
I
to me
gotta
raw.
say,
It's fine.
you got a Boston legend in Sean Gullett, who I just think you can't go wrong when you trade your guys for when you trade for my guys. Um, good pitching apparently. Wow.
I'll open it up on my thoughts on Orlando because I've shared this with you in DMs. I think I told you about a week ago. I think that Orlando absolutely can get to the SL this year. Like that pitching staff was that good. Where my concern was with the team is what do you do once you get into the SL? When you look at the overall landscape of the other teams, speaking from experience, I fought that fight, finally got to the SL, and got delegated the very next year. And so, looking at the farm, I thought that was a concern. So, I really like your decision to move Connor and was it Watson. You've moved a couple of pieces, and yet you're still winning. You're still in position. So, if somehow you manage to get past Vancouver, which I think is really the fight. It's the three of those teams. I don't see Galveston sticking around. I think their team defies logic, even having 17 wins. No offense. But I think it's just a 3-team race. So if somehow you get past Orlando, the pieces you've moved, you now actually have assets you did not have before. So that's not really good.
He got stuck in one of those where he had a lot of bad luck for a few years.
Oh, yeah.
And he kind of kept trying to sell assets to try to retool instead of just kind of properly rebuilding. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of comical now that he's in the mindset of properly rebuilding. His team won't lose.
Right. But it's a good problem to have because let's say he gets promoted to the SL. Now all of a sudden he has assets. I'm not saying go back to what you were doing before and just buy. But I'd rather be in the SL and be like, where do I go, than be in the BL wondering where I go.
He gets sent back down to the BL.
Right.
And then can just rebuild. It doesn't matter. So
yeah. So I like it. I'm kind of hoping that somehow even moving some of these names, and I'm sure he's not done, he continues to win. I don't want Detroit and Vancouver to walk away with this. That's what I don't want. It's too easy.
I'm happy to see Benjamin back up in the rotation because I never really thought he got a really true shot after the 68 season. So I'm glad to see maybe he can build a little bit and then maybe he can trade him off or something. But he's got a good bullpen still. I mean, this team's still looking pretty good. This team looks pretty decent still for selling off some of his major pieces.
All those pitchers I bought.
There's so much
pitching.
pitching.
I should say.
Yeah.
Teams like Indianapolis should be knocking on your door. That's what should happen.
Oh my gosh,
should be beating down the door, taking 2 of those guys.
Yep.
Do you have you don't have a single lefty on your rotation?
Not anymore. No. They're all righties.
Yeah.
I bought for five or 6 straight seasons. I bought
even like Atlanta, I think is trending in the right direction.
I think I bought 7 pitchers last
mine
season.
is up.
Oh my God.
7.
He looks
I
pretty
love
solid. It. And I know Goodine looks like he could be like a front end starter for the BL and CO.
All right, let's take a poll here. Orlando with only right-handed pitchers. Who would win in a 7-game series between Boston, who can't hit right-handed pitchers, but is in the BL, and Orlando?
That's gonna be tough.
I'll give it to Boston in 7.
They can, because at least Orlando doesn't really have the offense either. So,
man.
I think Orlando's a wild card. Depending on how much more you sell, I think you're a wild card. I wouldn't buy anything in your position at all.
No.
But if your team somehow gets promoted despite what you move, you've got so much pitching. I really like what's happening.
How crazy / I mean, let's be honest. Comical would it be if Vancouver somehow didn't get promoted again?
I feel like
poor Austin.
Like he's got to, right? Like he has to, right?
Gotta be the year.
No, I thought he had good pitching. Like,
I feel like Vancouver's like the pre-Cohen Mets of the CBA, where it's like
he's got one starter.
They're gonna implode.
Do you think that Orlando's hitting with the new people that just have a few new ones?
Does he have starting in the bullpen maybe or in the minors? He still has Landers, so yeah. He needs to work on his pitching. Vancouver does if he wants to actually make a move. Because I thought
I
that
don't know. I
rotation was
kind of like what
better.
I'm seeing so far. I mean, yeah, you got Landers who's on the way, but these guys aren't bad. There's no one. I mean, Strauss is not good.
Besides Harvey and Landers, who's a PL pitcher? You can't tell me Elliott or Coleman or Cortez or Strauss or PL guys.
True. That's true. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, Orlando, I think you were trying to say something and you got distracted.
No, it's okay. I brought up a couple of new guys. So I was thinking that it was the offense sucked at the beginning because they're just getting acclimated to
He looks
the big.
muted to me.
Can you not hear me?
I can hear
I
you.
can hear you. I can hear you.
Like
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
it's just in my end then.
Yeah, I brought a couple of new batters in this season just to kind of help out.
Who'd you bring in?
Brought in a second baseman and brought in the first baseman.
Vecchiarelli made his debut this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, his numbers in the minors are pretty good. He has not quite made that transition yet. Your first baseman, McKinney.
Yeah.
You kind of brought him in midway through last year. He's played well for you at least.
I think Vecchiarelli has potential. I like him.
I think my opinion is some of the guys just have a slow start. I think by mid-season they'd be okay. I know that I had a couple of people. What was it? Williams would always suck at the beginning, and then he'd end up with like 2 or 3 WAR.
You know, another thing I would do if I were you, Orlando, is from whatever's left in free agency, I'd give some people 1-year contracts. If they start going off, float them for 3rd round, 4th round picks, whatever at the deadline. But considering you don't have to give up assets for them, if there's anything you think you can upgrade in free agency still, I absolutely would give them a small 1-year contract.
Especially
I just got enough money to give one basic contract to. I haven't had money in 4 seasons. That's why I've only dealt in picks. I ran out of money like 4 or 5 seasons ago.
This is interesting too, because I see you only have 45 million in salary, but I haven't been in the BO so long, so I don't actually know how your salary window actually works.
You have $100 million budget around that ballpark. So
I have 80 million.
All right. Well,
and then you take out scouting and development and coaches.
Yeah.
You're an international guy you're going to try to sign. That's tough.
Yeah. So this season actually was the first season I actually had any kind of money to where I put some into development. Before I only had, when I was pushing, I had maybe 8 million, I think, in development.
And I will tell you this, don't
I flipped
extend Peace, because you're paying your assistant GM 3.5 million. Like,
I'm going to get rid of him.
You don't even need one, to be honest. That'll free up a little bit more money as well.
I honestly wouldn't pay my coaches a lot of money from the BL either.
He's a pitching coach is making $3 million as well.
Have you seen what the PL does to the BL coaches?
Yep.
It goes both ways, but
season.
But like right now, I'd put my money in players, if anything. And then when you get up to that SL, you start getting to that point, then you just steal from people's farm leagues.
Yep.
But like in the BL, I wouldn't waste any more than I had to on a coach, especially if you consider they're probably going to get stolen anyways if they're good.
What's your scouting budget at, if you don't mind me asking? Even.
Well, I'll tell you, it's at 27.
Yeah,
no, can't be.
Cut the hell out of that. Yeah. Cut it down to 5, and you'll free up 20 more million.
No, it's at 9. Right,
okay, I'd still cut it. Screw it.
It's your assistant GM that's making 3.5 million.
Yeah, that's what I said. You don't.
I'm gonna cut him.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Don't cut him because you got to pay him anyway, right? Isn't that how that works?
Oh,
no, you don't need an assistant GM. No, Carolina doesn't have one. Cleveland doesn't have one. DC doesn't have one.
Right now, he still pays him, correct?
Oh yeah, contract's there, but I wouldn't do it again. That's a good disclaimer for newer GMs into this league. You do not need an assistant.
But just to be very clear, if you're not going to have an assistant GM, every single minor leaguer you're going to have to manage.
You should do that anyways, though.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't.
In this league, it's actually not that hard.
And
The
you can
minors are
still
pretty
auto
easy in
it.
this league.
Yeah, you can still auto your I don't recommend it. You can still auto your rosters and your lineups in the minors. But to give you an idea, again, for anybody that listens to this hour and a half video, Carolina, Cleveland, DC, Phoenix, and Toronto do not have assistant GMs. Of those 5 teams, I'm the only one that's not really a playoff team. To kind of give you an idea. So if you are listening to this, do not pay an assistant GM any money. It's a waste. That's a minor league player. That's somebody you can get.
I know. I'm just gonna leak my own financials. What am I paying my guy? Less than $1 million.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't have too many expensive coaches. Just my bench coach, I guess. And I'll probably continue to pay him that. But I had to know just from my own curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even believe in. I personally don't even really believe in paying coaches that much. My highest is $1 million. It's from my director that I don't even control what he gets paid. So
I don't know. The issue is you need coaches that have good development ratings because maybe that's just to make myself feel good when I sleep at night. But you do. I mean, you want your guys to develop. That's what coaches do help out with that. So you have to have something there to help. It's not just purely development budget.
I have good coaches, but I just picked and choose when I got them. You know what I mean? Like I'm not paying someone from free agency. Just poach them from another team.
Yeah.
You'll pay them a lot less, and then you can extend them right away, and they're with you for a while.
Anytime I'll tell you right now, anytime I have a coach that I don't re-sign because I don't pay attention or something like that, first thing I do is I go to DC's farm and I look at his coaches, and then I go to Toronto.
We are lucky because we can't get poached really. Whereas even if you're in the CO and you pay him, I can still poach him. It'll take a couple years, but I can still poach it. Whereas you won't be able to poach from me. Like they will almost always say no.
It's like
so
if it's a
we are at
promotion.
an advantage. So I understand why you'd pay him now, if you to get them because we have a luxury as a PL team. So I understand it, but I would still try to look for cheap. The difference between someone who's excellent and someone who's outstanding or legendary, it's not that big. It's not nearly as big as you think it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big. Like you said, if there is any impact, again, that's why I say poach from top teams, because if it has any impact, even if it's minimal, okay, you have a minimal help for you, but it's a minimal decrease for them. If it does anything. So continue stealing from Mark's team is the message of this.
He just stole the coach from me last sim. He literally just stole one.
You gotta love it.
All right, so do you guys want to start reviewing trades? I know we have a handful to go through.
I can go rapid fire on a couple.
So I have a list. I think we all can just take a look. So first, the Galveston sent away Stuckey for a third. Just to go real quick. I like this trade. These ratings aren't that sick, but I'd give up a third for a durable 18-year-old with decent ratings any day of the week.
Yes, but who traded for him, by the way?
Chicago.
Okay. I like it for both teams, and here's why. Way to take a flyer on a guy that may or may not be good. I like it for Galveston because his ratings, at least on my end, looked like they were getting worse. It looked like this guy was falling off a cliff.
That is true. He was elite, and now he is not.
Yeah, and so for him, get something while you can.
Third round picks have never been more like they're actually like you can get good talent now compared to what you
right. So I think that's good for him to get something that could turn into something useful. But I also feel like I'm willing to gamble with a third round pick that I would not with a second.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a decent trade across the board.
All right. So moving on, I'm just going to delete this so we don't actually forget.
I'm already laughing at this next one.
The first baseman.
Why is this? Why is this even here? Give it
It's a step above the 12th round for 12th round the other night.
So this dude, who really is nothing super special.
Don't ever change, Tyler. I'll tell you that.
Hold on, let's look at the other one. Tyler's winning the trade. Winning the trade.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler's guy's not wrecked, so he definitely
That's true.
This guy is going off in Dev B right now, but that doesn't mean anything.
At 27 years old.
Right. Tyler's guy is 0.2 WAR for him
Is that
in like
Dev
11
B?
games.
I mean, I don't
You said
think
Dev
either
B?
guys are gonna. Yes, Dev B. He's just demolishing Dev B at 27 years old.
That a kid.
Hey, he's Canadian, so who knows? Sorry, I looked at that for a second. I thought that was
We
a
used to be
town
the
near me.
Canadian farm. Now it's other teams. I
Yeah,
used to get
so
nothing but Canadians.
I think the real loser of this trade is us. Has to review it. Is that harsh? No, I mean I don't know. It's just nothing's gonna change too much. But I do think,
If one of those teams gets some use out of them, good for you. I mean,
and that's kind of why I think Tyler won the trade. Los Angeles won the trade.
You
So
know,
moving
sometimes
on.
you just have that itch to make a trade, and I'm okay with
Yeah.
that too.
So a $1 deal. Money's had to have been a salary dump. So New York sent a 6, which is whatever. Owen K. Not super special.
Can I interrupt real quick?
What's up?
As long as I've been playing this game, I had no idea there was a search feature right there at the top of the game.
You
You're
you
telling
didn't
me
know that the top
Swear to
one right there
God,
with the
swear to God, had no idea that was
magnifying
there.
glass?
No idea.
Oh, jeez.
So
playing
you've
the
been
game.
It took me
playing
a
this
while to
game?
find it in Football Manager, but I've always known about it out of the park.
You've
Yep.
been playing since like
Yep.
OT 10.
Yeah,
You didn't know that was there?
Way too long to not know that was there.
Oh my gosh. I should not be giving you any tips at all. It's not fair to the league.
We're gonna win 12 games now.
No. All right. So Owen K just seems like whatever. Evan Armstrong. This is the salary dump.
Okay.
Armstrong
bad for a
Armstrong's
salary
not bad
dump.
for. Yeah, I like
No,
Not
Armstrong.
bad.
I had him on my team, I think, actually.
Maybe not in the majors. You had it for you did. He put up 2 WAR for you a couple years ago. Not up for a salary dump. That's not bad. I mean, the truth is, if you're Seattle and you have the $8 million laying around, you'd make this deal. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Who's
Is
the
Curry any
third
good?
player here?
John Curd.
Average
You guys
reliever.
might hear a little Cars the movie in the background. So
I mean, he's a guy.
So just a guy. The interesting thing is, for Seattle, you took on really no risk. But if you're in New York, you really didn't give up much. I mean, maybe Owen K could be like a decent backup catcher, but you freed up $8 million. You know, if you're New York, you're pushing for the number 1 seed in the SL. That might free up a little bit of money so that when the deadline comes, you can maybe acquire a guy that you couldn't otherwise. So this trade, to me, the winner is conditional on what New York does at the deadline, if they put that extra money to use.
I'm trying to figure out why, like, what's in it for Seattle here.
I think the idea is you're just picking up dudes that have no real risk, and you get
I mean,
6th.
I mean, I guess Curd could play in his team and his lineup, but I don't know what his goal is as far as going for it or not. Like, he's got a decent offense for the BL, and his starters are not good, so I could see him throwing him into the rotation. I wonder if that's the move.
And I think if you're just like a BL team, and
I mean,
we all kind of agree that there's definitely a clear-cut top 3. You just acquire talent however you can.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay,
You know,
it's a 6th-round pick.
Exactly.
And he's got the money.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, next deal. New York sent a 3rd. Galveston sends Pitts and Bannon, and Pitts on an EOS. Decent pitcher, it looks like. For the SL, he'll be fine. I like him for a loan for a 3rd. And then they also got Bannon for an actual deal. I like it. He could probably start.
Yeah.
I think it's a good deal for New York.
So between those two, that's 1.1 WAR he's acquired for a 3rd-round pick so far.
Yeah.
So just so far. And as somebody that's clearly going for it, I like the move.
Yeah. Good
if
move.
you end up giving a 3rd-round pick, even if one's a loan, and you end up getting 3 WAR out of that, and it gets you to the PL, it think about it right now. Anybody that's not in the PL, if somebody said trade a 3rd-round pick and that's the move that gets you promoted, you would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
So I like the
think
move.
very low risk, high reward trade.
And I like it for Galveston. He gets the 3rd-round pick, and he still keeps Pitts when it's all said and done.
That's true. And my understanding is, so Galveston has started off well, but I think the plan for Galveston is to, kind of stink and rebuild for a little bit. So I think that it works out for everybody involved. I think it's a good trade. Next one. Another New York trade. They sent hit a 6th and a 4th for Connor Griffin EOS. Another Galveston deal too.
I can already tell you I like this for Galveston.
I'm not high on Connor Griffin, truthfully.
No, but he took Connor Griffin as a salary dump from
Oh my gosh.
from
You're
Bob.
not even kidding.
And
This isn't EOS?
yeah. So he's gonna get him back.
Retaining it all. Okay. So
Yeah.
the money doesn't matter.
Yeah, he was going to pay him anyway, and he's not trying to win. Now he gets
Yeah.
draft capital for that.
I like
Right.
that a lot.
And they're lottery picks at the 5th and 6th, but
Yep.
he already had the guy anyway.
He tried shopping him for higher, and no one would pay it. So.
Right.
I mean,
But it's like you said, if you're a BL team, you got to acquire talent any way you can, and that's 3 more prospects in his farm.
How about this though? I mean, yeah, Connor Griffin's retained, and it's just an EOS. But like, if you're New York, would you make the deal?
For New York, again, you're trying to get promoted. What's a 5th round and a 6th-round pick?
Mm-hmm.
If I go out and I'm like, hey,
does this guy move the needle?
Yet to be seen. He wasn't doing a whole lot in BL reserves. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So if he gets anything remotely like what he was doing in the PL in the previous years, then yeah, that's great. It's another arm for low cost to get into the PL.
Yeah, maybe
And he didn't take on that terrible contract.
True. Let's just see New York's rotation real quick. If he's going to start or if he's going to be a reliever. Probably gonna. I don't know. I'd say this dude's kind of interesting. I'm afraid of low movement, but until you prove otherwise, you start him. And then other than that, maybe Parker you drop. If you're gonna add Griffin. Again, depth is never a bad thing. So
it's got to be Parker, because if you look at his top 4, they've all been right in that 0.8, 0.9 WAR production for him. He's got the 2nd best starting ERA. I think he's going to go in the bullpen because that's where his opportunity's been.
Yeah, I think
it's got to be a bullpen move.
Putting Rumpf back in the starting rotation, putting Parker in the bullpen, and putting Griffin in the bullpen, I think that makes a lot of sense if you were New York.
I think Restrepo is pitching over his head a little bit. Restrepo, I don't know if he's gonna be able to keep that.
Yeah, but you know what? If he's a hot hand, I mean, if the luck is gonna go his way and he's just magically not gonna give up, 1.5 homers per 9 or whatever, you roll with it.
What's his FIP?
1.17. But that's because if you look at his previous numbers, his home runs per 9 is lower than it has been historically.
Yeah.
And his FIP minus has been bad in the reserves for the past couple of years. So
I was looking at reserves. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
And OSA likes him more than my scout likes him, but he's having a solid rookie campaign.
Yeah, he's definitely having a solid campaign. I just wonder if it falls apart in June or July.
Oh yeah, fair.
Maybe that's good to have Griffin.
What's his BAP up there? It's like 3.6, right? 3.66?
Pretty bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
That's like 3.5 batters every 10 getting on base.
Yeah, it's weird.
Somebody's going to score.
I couldn't imagine having Rumpf in the bullpen.
Same here. That's why I was like, those bottom 2 guys, I would replace easily with Rumpf.
And he got a starter contract extension.
You start this dude until his arm falls off.
Yep.
I mean, that's the move.
That should be your ace right there.
I know that he has him as a.
So I think you put Rumpf in over Parker, and then you put Griffin in the.
And then you wait and see. I say you wait and see with Trepo.
Yeah.
Basically, because Griffin's not really. he might not be an answer either. So maybe wait and see what Trepo can do.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, next one. Galveston sends a third, and
Oh.
Where for a fourth, and Ed
I don't like
Hernandez.
this at all.
I
I
like
feel
this
like
dude's
this
name.
was just spinning his wheels.
How do you spell that shit?
Where's not bad. He looks like a decent little prospect though, but he's just a long line of DH prospects that's littered through the whole league.
Joey Gallo build. Potentially, he could be something in 23. So I like that for Seattle. Ed Hernandez.
Which funny is he's already in Toronto's system. So I
Ed
forgot he was
Hernandez
traded
is
already.
he can be okay. I don't know. These two guys, I'd say, are similar ceilings. Because I mean, the issue with him is the movement and the movement aren't that promising. But the stuff is nice.
And the upticking a little bit too. Like I think I remember looking at him. He's trending in the right direction.
The stuff in particular.
I think Seattle wins this trade based on the picks by itself. I was willing to offer the first baseman for a fourth on its own, but somehow Seattle was able to work out a third round pick from him and sitting a pitcher where I thought I don't see him going too far. I don't even think he's playing.
No,
unless he's in the bullpen.
To me, Where looks like he could have a better bat than Caleb Richardson, but he plays first base or DH. So it is what it is if he becomes that.
He's also already in Toronto. I'm not sure what he got to move him to Toronto, but
Seattle wins this trade easily.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
A 12th for a 12th.
Las Vegas wins because 72. No, Detroit wins because his 72 12th round pick will be at gave up valuable spots in the 12th round.
Hey, that's the next Pierce Andrew, traded him away.
Yeah.
Former Carolina Reaper, Philadelphia Liberty.
That's true. We got two former guys. Interesting deal as well. Another bunch of. So
CBA Devil, thank you.
Is that Pierce Andrew, the CBA Devil?
No, Toronto.
Oh, okay, got it.
Toronto.
I like this next trade a lot, actually, and I'm
Let's
not just saying it because Orlando's here.
What was the trade? I didn't see it.
Yeah, this was the Watson deal.
Oh, the Watson deal was great.
A host of prospects, a second, a third, a 10th, and 11th. I love that you were, I'm assuming that you fought tooth and nail for the 10th and the 11th.
Totally.
For Sean Watson. So Jake Flowers looks like he can be okay. He's maybe a fifth.
I like that he has movement. The other stuff, I feel like stuff grows a lot better than movement and control does. So if he gets some decent stuff out of that, then he could be pretty good.
And my scout likes Flowers a lot more than what yours did just there, or OSA.
Yeah.
And so the way I look at it is you're getting three players for one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and here's the thing about Watson is, these ratings are, this is going to make your hair fall out. 40 movement, 40 control, 80 stuff. He's a fun player, but
that looks like a Phoenix guy to me. I like that.
I would say let's look at his first game as a Detroit Motor, and that Motor gave out 1 inning pitched, 6 runs.
Yeah, I think this just shows the variability. He'll either give you 3 strikeouts or 15. You never know. I mean, this is he's going to give
I had a guy with this build once upon a time, and his changeup developed, and I was real high on him. He went up to like 80 potential, and he got the shit kicked out of him in CBA, and all of those ratings went away real fast.
So the ultimate question here is, Orlando, do you feel guilty for taking advantage of Joey in this trade?
I feel like he got a great reliever out of this.
There it is. Love it.
I don't think I would put anybody with 40 control in my bullpen.
It's one of those. He's been playing really well on on Orlando. And I know that it was buying time. Like, there's no way he could keep that up. But he was in the eight. I think he was in the eighth position. He was either 1 or 2 slot.
Mhm.
And I'm a firm believer that the slot that you put players in makes a huge difference. So if there's a player that tends to like the back end of a rotation, you put him in the front, he's just going to bomb out. But this guy, it's like, to me, he reminds me of Spencer Strider. Like, you get good or you get nothing.
Mm.
But
And
I also,
like that does work in the bullpen a lot more because I had a guy like that Cranton who gave me some pretty solid innings, and his control's only like 30. So you can max them and and put them in certain situations, and it could be okay.
It's just such a gamble. I think that no matter how much blue you've got on here, the movement and control are going to hold him back. And you're seeing what happened to him in the BL. That's never going to work in the SL or the BL.
Well, that's the question. So here's the gamble, I guess, that I think Detroit's going for, is you have him for this year, you win the BL with him. Let's say he continues his run of form and he strikes out enough people that the movement and the control aren't that big of a deal. You flip him to another BL team for another second. Because then
I could see that happening.
You can talk a BL team into saying, hey, he just put up 3 WAR in the BL. He's a BL ace. Give me a second for him. I'm gonna give him for 5 years.
Have we all typed that message before?
well, yeah, maybe.
You're not really a PL
Even though I
GM
never
until
left.
you gaslight the BL GMs into thinking that your shit player's an ace. So
I did. You know what? I was that BL guy for like 4 of those seasons because I've listened to DC sell me a pitcher 3 of those. So, like, and they're all in my bullpen, right? So they're like, "Oh, your pitching staff's really good." Yeah, I have like 7 first-round picks in there that I had to sell away. They're all in the bullpen. But Flowers, to Detroit's benefit, Flowers actually is a sidearm, which I don't care for at all.
that means he has same side splits. Like if he's a righty, he'll destroy righties.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's a backwards.
The only, I mean, he's not even a sidearm. He's a submariner.
Yeah, he's a righty. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I will say again, my scout likes him a lot more than apparently what anybody else does.
I mean, I think either way, I think Orlando.
I've ever seen that looks good. So.
I mean, either way, I think Orlando won the deal. So that's kind of where I sit. Everyone agree?
I'm gonna show you my view. I'll send it to E since he can bring it up on screen here.
Was Garrett Matthews one of those DC pitchers? Is that ringing a bell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You gave up a first for that guy too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. First went for Garrett Matthews. First went for Casto. First went for Gallo. I'm pretty sure. First went for.
Here's an alternate view at Jake
Gibson.
Flowers.
Casto hasn't been bad though.
Yeah, this is a lot better. I mean, yeah, he's a sidearm guy, but he can just be a 3 or 4.
If you get this guy and a second and a third for Watson,
that's a really, really good deal.
Then you stole him.
You can hit on that second too.
Yeah.
We'll see when the Doves come out. It should be in a couple weeks, so I should get a Dove report on them.
Don't turn to me; he'll plummet then. So
I've got one more I can offer my opinion, then I'm gonna have to head out.
I got you. I think we have a little bit of trades left. Oh my gosh, we're have to speed up on this. Yeah, it is a work night. So I got Robert for 2 seconds for 2/3. What do you guys think, real quick?
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, Robert's not a guy I would go out of my way to try to get in 23. I've been there, done that with the same exact player, but I'd like his he's got good. He's not like useless. He's got good gap and stuff. So
I actually think I tried to make a play for him before I brought McKinney up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, my thinking was just it's 2/3. Who cares? One of them is not even mine. Robert might help out my lineup. He's a lefty. He's better against righties. Really good against righties, hopefully. And I know he's not an out of the park 23 build, but I had to give him a shot. So I viewed it as not a lot of risk with potentially a little bit of reward. If he puts up 2 WAR for me, I think I won. If he doesn't, I think I lost. That's my take.
I think immediately, I think that's a good deal for San Diego. Take the picks for
Yeah,
Rivera.
I agree. He's a free agent too.
Right. I do think, especially with the adjustment to the parks, maybe you do get something out of him to make it worthwhile. So I don't think it's a terrible deal. I think yours is waiting to see what it's worth for you. But I like it for him.
Yeah. All right, next one. I'm gonna go a little quicker. This is the Kyle Connor deal that Phoenix sent the first and some other prospects for Kyle Connor. We've discussed this one a little bit. Kind of a tough pill to swallow because Connor, his ratings took a dive.
Heard some flapping about that.
Yeah, not your fault, but just some bad luck. I like the prospects that Orlando got back though. So I think
blame Orlando either. I don't blame Orlando. So
No,
he should
no.
have no ill feelings for him or whatever.
if Connor continues to perform, I think this is a great trade for both teams.
Yeah. I like it for both sides. It's a very balanced trade.
We got what we wanted. We talked about it. He wanted the third baseman. He needed Connor. I needed an infield, and I got an entire I got a second base, a shortstop, and a third baseman.
That's true.
So
yeah.
Robles is a shortstop. Belmore, I think, is a third baseman, if I recall. More of a third baseman than a.
I remember looking at the players. Robles is definitely a shortstop. He's at like 70 range, infield range.
I think Belmore could actually be a center fielder. Then you have like 75 range.
Yeah. So I got some flexibility with that, but that's two of the positions that everybody looks for: shortstop, and center field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, he's both.
Yeah.
He's everything.
Yeah.
So
Robles is the same way, same exact build basically.
Yeah.
The issue is, are the bats gonna be good enough to stomach that?
Yeah, that's why it didn't hurt too bad actually, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. He could be okay with that.
Yeah,
a little bit of arm would be nice, but of all the prospects, he's probably the better one.
He's shown more promise too with his development.
My guy, let me pull this up because what I'm reading from, what was it? What was the other guy? Belmore, showing a lot better than what yours show.
Gotcha. I mean, they're young enough that anything's possible. And you got my first, which I think is like 15.
So 118.
118?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna get a great pick at that. So
I've been tracking the first round like a hawk.
Let me send you a screenshot real quick.
Gotcha. And while you work on that, let's continue to motor through real quick. Galveston sent a first, and Detroit sent some prospects. So this is more of like building for now.
Yeah, I hate this deal.
You don't like this deal?
No, I hate this deal.
Why?
No, this is the cheapest top 10 pick in CBA history.
For Calamari and Haynes?
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, he got guys he wanted, so that's what matters.
I talked to Galveston. I knew he was going to trade it for cheaper than a top 10 pick should go for. So I mean, it's whatever. It's who got it.
I think they could both be okay. I mean, I think they can. I mean, Calamari looks like he could be okay. The bat is because I know Calamari's not the centerpiece though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy's so young though. That's my problem. I mean,
he was the guy that was still in the international complex. That 80 is going to go away, and I know that's what got the trade done.
He'll be good defensive though. So
just to circle back, and this might change the calculus. The previous deal, this is
that's what I got too. So
yeah, which is like really good, substantially better than what my scout thinks. So that could tip the scales more towards Orlando's favors.
Especially now, it's already in his favor.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Haynes. I mean, my scout's low on him, but I don't know. I think it's.
I think this is a steal.
I don't dislike Haynes, but I'm saying when you see the players that are there that are going to be their 6th overall,
yeah.
6,
they're going to blow both these players out of the water,
and they're going to be
absolutely.
This draft is completely stacked in the top 15 or so.
Gotcha. So we'll see who they pick for that, but that's another interesting deal. Oh my gosh, what is this mess of a trade?
This is
where
trade of the night.
Bob things. That's what this is.
First baseman for first baseman with some picks.
With all these firsts involved, oh my gosh.
I think that isn't that like the number 1 overall pick or like 5 overall.
No, let's
No,
see
no.
here.
Minnesota's a PL team.
No,
Seattle-
it's
These are high.
Toronto. They're
These
going
are
to be
high
low.
picks.
Seattle's pick
Toronto, that is actually pick number 4 now, I think.
Yeah, it's 5 or 4. It's around there.
Yeah, it's pick
So
4.
these are going to be in the 20s. What's middle cost ratings? Oops. Not bad. Not that great though.
I mean, I think he can at least play some defense, but Where is for a young prospect looks better than that guy.
You think so?
Yeah.
Let's check out Weber real quick. Which Weber? Dustin.
He's
he's
the
okay.
catcher that can't catch.
True.
Yeah.
And then for Where we already looked at, but I forget.
What's his
Gotcha.
CERA or whatever his?
Oh, it's gonna be rough.
It's like 40. Oh, 45.
Oh, framing. That's what I was
418
looking at.
and
Framing.
negative framing. You know,
Yeah.
the truth is, and this is one of those things that I think I'm still definitely focused on catcher ability. But if it doesn't matter, if it really was nerfed to high hell, maybe it's not a bad deal if you can hit.
It was nerfed, but I'm telling you, I see a very big difference from Melot to Neil. I mean, that's why I'm still starting Neil because he still fields way better, and it's very noticeable compared to
Gotcha.
even Melot's not even bad at fielding.
So I don't know. I kind of think Bob won the steal. What do you think?
I mean, Bob got 4th overall for
And
two mid.
Yeah.
Two low, a mid first. I mean, a low first and a bottom 3 first. So
I mean, you
Yeah.
never know. Maybe this is a deep draft. Maybe these 2 picks do turn out to be,
it
starters.
is a deep draft, but man,
Well, this is a 2072.
hey, this opens up a whole can of worms for me that I don't know if I want to put out there, but I'm going to. BL teams should not be trading their top 5 or 6 picks, no matter what it's for.
100%.
Build
And I'm saying
around
this.
your picks
Oh,
because
yeah.
that is literally you are going to be stuck in the BL if you do at the PL or the BL if you do not.
Agree 100%. And I know that because I was stuck in the BL for a decade because I did that shit. You shouldn't do
Yep.
it.
Just don't do it. Just keep your picks, and then if you want to trade, get pieces first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean that I'm telling you right now that 4th overall pick is going to matter so much more for your team than those 2 bottom first will, unless you get incredibly lucky and hit on a big player.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
I think. Yeah.
And I think this
I mean,
is our
I've
last
learned
trade.
the hard way.
So that's all the trades in that entire month. So any closing thoughts? I know it's getting late. We're going on an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
I'm
it's getting late.
like
30
It's a
minutes
work
late
night.
to put my boy to bed, so I gotta. My closing thought is that it was great, and it's how I do it again next week, and it's good to hear some of you. I've never heard all you guys' voices, but the sexy voice of Big E. So
Yeah, it was nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll probably do the same thing next week. So I guess I'll keep you guys in the loop, and I'll put this on
Thanks
YouTube
for the
everyone that
insight.
could.
Always like to hear what other people think.
I agree. I think
no problem,
especially
man.
when you hear guys like Duncan and Tommy, and
that's what the
You've
whole
been
point
there.
of this is for. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
That's what's. I mean, we should have been doing this a long time ago, because
Yep.
it helps. I mean, it'll help if it helps a new GM think about something or something like that. That's what it's here for. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I mean,
Agree
a lot of the
completely.
stuff we're joking around and stuff, but I mean, look at guys like Toronto, Joey. Those new GMs should really be seeing what the moves they're doing. I mean, they're above the rest of us. DC. I mean, they're just guys who are just doing it. Have been doing it forever and just know exactly what they're doing and how to do it well. So watch what they do and just don't mimic them, but take some things from them because you won't be able to mimic them. But
Yeah, I think that's well said. All right, I think we'll call it here. Just shy of
Sounds
11
good.
o'clock. All right, see you guys.
Later.
Take care.
You too. Bye.